I believe E equals mc squared is partially wrong. If an object is traveling at the speed of light or near the light, it will increase in mass and it will slow its time. This happens when an object nears a black hole because its velocity is closer to the speed of light. Anyway, I honestly believe it's not correct. It is partially correct, but in this case it's wrong. Here we have a person in a ship traveling at the speed of light. In this case, an occupant inside a spacecraft will actually age quicker. Its time flow will be moving extremely fast. The reason is because inside the body of people, we have atoms and we have electrons. These electrons speed around the atom at 1% of the speed of light, which is 18 seconds around the world. Anyway, the way I can explain it in layman's terms, imagine you having a string and a washer and you spin around in circles. But if you have a magnet, as the washer goes around, it'll slow down the momentum and the velocity of the spinning of the washer. So by slowing the itself, it's like the washer itself is the electron, and the magnet is basically a mass. For example, here we have a person on top of a mountain, which ages quicker than another person in sea level. The reason a person in the mountain ages quicker in milliseconds is because the mass acts as a magnet that slows down the electron. By slowing the electron speed, the person actually ages quicker. When somebody travels, in theory, according to E equals mc squared, travels speed of light, increases in mass, also it slows time. But in this case, it only works if the person's by itself. But once the person's inside a spacecraft, that is then incorrect. That is totally false. Anyway, inside the spacecraft, the occupant and the spacecraft traveling near the speed of light, both objects will increase in mass. So once these objects near the speed of light increase exponentially to a certain point of become more massive in mass, even though their size is normal, but they increase in mass, they'll start having their own gravity. So there's two scenarios. The first scenario, the spaceship increases in mass and acts as a mountain, like this right here, and basically like the magnet, slows down the momentum of the speeding electron and slows it down. And by slowing down, this occupant ages quicker. So not only that, the second scenario is the occupant and the spacecraft become more massive, and they gain more mass to a certain point where they start having their own gravity. The occupant will have its own gravity. The object, or in this case, the spacecraft, will have its own gravity. And as near the speed of light, their massive mass or gravity, in this case, will be intense. It's like having two magnets, a north polarity and south polarity, which will attract. But in this case, the magnets are super strong. To the point is that both the occupant and the spacecraft will actually merge together, kind of like becoming one, because the gravity itself of these two objects, the person and the spacecraft, is so strong that it pulls them together and become one. It's just like imagine a piece of charcoal compressed on the earth with so much pressure that becomes a diamond. In this case, the person own gravity exponentially with the gravity of the spacecraft. It acts like a magnet or glue and become one. So that's the first scenario. The second scenario is basically that the spacecraft gains mass and slows down the electrons. Either way, an occupant cannot slow down his time inside spacecraft while traveling the speed of light. It's the contrary. Is the fact. The fact is that the occupant inside the spacecraft will age quicker than everybody else because the spacecraft will gain mass, and as a mountain acts on the person, because the mountain is compressed atoms, compressed mass. It actually slows down the electrons of the person. So the spaceship is equal to the mountain, and the occupant is equal to the person on top of the mountain. Basically, the ship itself is the mass, and the occupant is the occupant. And the scenario and the effects is the same. In both cases, the occupant ages quicker, not slower, because it has a counter effect the ship does on a person. And you can't change that. It's a fact. But a lot of folks, a lot of scientists have overlooked that simple scenario. And the fact is, once you exponentially gain mass, you become, at a certain point in time, there's a limit where then you become, that mass becomes more, starts to have its own gravity. And in this case, you have two masses, the ship and the person. The compressed matter and the person itself both will have its mass and start attracting each other, and it wouldn't be good. Become one piece of object in space. So pretty much becoming one. So that's the way I could see it. I mean, I honestly believe that Einstein's in this case is wrong. But if the person was traveling at the speed of light by itself, then Einstein's theory is correct. Only then. But inside the ship, then it's incorrect.